Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar, Designing with YBC, Enhancing Environments for the Timber Bridge. My name is Julie Ledbetter. I am the Sales and Marketing Coordinator at York Bridge Concepts. We are a full-service design-build firm specializing in vehicular and pedestrian bridges, focused on longevity, style, and craftsmanship. Our 7,000 plus bridges can be seen in almost all 50 states, as well as the Caribbean islands, Central America, and Europe. We create innovative crossing solutions for any environment. Timber bridges are our passion, and we're very good at it. Before I utilize our speaker today, I want to point out the Zoom features that we will have throughout the webinar to enhance your interactive experience. We will be posting links to articles, projects, and upcoming webinars in the chat. There's also a poll question. Actually, there's going to be two that we would like to get your feedback on. One of the poll number 1 is posted right now. We will share the results in just a few minutes. You may type a question in the Q&A that we will answer at the end of the presentation. Or if you would like to participate in the discussion at the end of the webinar, you're welcome to raise your hand and I will unmute your mic so that you can participate. But don't worry, there's no video. Today's presenter is Rachel Marshall. She's our General Operations and Design Manager. She's also a registered architect and has a landscape architecture background. She helps each client ensure that their bridge is both beautiful and functional. At YBC, she has teamed on over 375 projects, as well as partnered with clients on hundreds of concepts. Thank you so much for joining us today, Rachel.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today. Hopefully I got those jitters out in that first sentence. I'm very excited to talk with you because we're talking about design and that's really my jam. Julie noted a few of my fun facts and I'd like to go ahead and expand on them just a little bit. I've been honored to be in this creative industry for the last 17 years. I've worked on form-based code development. I've sat down with top retailers to spice up their bricks and mortar appeal. I was even strategizing curbside service design opportunities before the pandemic. And I've specialized in master planning for both communities and town centers. Most famously, one is now backed by Jimmy Buffett, where Parrot Head Lifestyle is taking over retirement living beachside at Latitudes and Margaritaville for those who don't travel down south very often. Each project that I get to collaborate on broadens my passion for our field. As designers, we are able to impact, engage, and set the stage for memories in the making. And that feels a little like having a fairy tale dream to me. Speaking of backgrounds, our experience and history are what makes us who we are, right? And that's no different for a business. At YBC, our credibility is ingrained in the evolution of our company. We've gotten to enjoy collaborations with innovative design professionals such as yourselves every day. We love seeing how you are shaping environments and discussing how we can help. Now, we didn't get here overnight. We've spent 36 years establishing, expanding, and evolving. Founded by James York as Pelican Marine, we built decks across Tampa Bay and developed two core values that we still live by today. The first was a vision for excellence, setting superior standards, partnership loyalties, and a hunger for collaborative ventures. The second was to be a leader in the industry for expertly crafted timber bridges. We truly established ourselves as the highly sought after timber bridge builder in this industry, especially in the world of golf. To meet expectations of a rapidly intensifying market, we expanded our reach and we headquartered ourselves in Tampa. We saturated both national and international markets with thousands of high quality timber bridges. Julie mentioned it earlier. We have over 7,000, possibly 8,000 bridges now in the ground. And we are officially the go-to in timber bridge building. Now we're evolving. In the past 10 years, we are focused on refining our reputation for product excellence. In this decade alone, we have introduced 3 cutting-edge focuses for our bridges, including Desero Design. Yes, I will explain that in a minute. York Bridge Services, and the York Timber Protective Systems. The Decero design approach is defined as from scratch. It's the mentality that is special to YBC. So think of our designs as from zero. And that is at the core of our pursuit of excellence. We set the bar high for two things: timber bridges and earning the respect, hopefully the repeat business, of professionals like yourselves. Speaking of design professionals, we've got our results from the poll. So I wanted to take a look at what incentivized you to look at timber in your work. And not to our surprise, budget is definitely coming in high. We definitely wanted you to answer more than one there because we know that budget's a consideration and it's usually pretty high on the list of demands when it comes to our clients. But I love the fact that general aesthetics is tying with that because timber is beautiful. So what I love even more about this poll is that you guys are pretty well balanced as to what you're looking for. And I think that we're going to cover a lot of these subjects in this design seminar. So without further ado, I'm going to move in to the next slide. Let's see here. There we go. All right, guys. No presentation's complete without some technical difficulties. All right, so your process is dynamic, and we've streamlined our services to complement our partnerships with you. Our goal is to seamlessly integrate our team into any project at any stage. This is the general design process in front of you. Everybody's familiar with it. You start with assessing client needs and budget, and you build to permitting and beyond. Now, we have our bridge consultants, our design team, and our construction experts that are on hand and able to consult on your project. We're here to give you our 36 years of proven experience. Now, bridges may seem rare in the large world of design, but amazing enough, they're quite common. So let's talk a little bit more and expand this diagram and talk about our consultations and collaborating with us. So initially, we have the pre-design consultation. In this phase, we can provide you with ballparks or order of magnitudes to help you get an idea of cost whenever you're establishing your project goals and determining your program elements. Then you're going to move into schematic design. And at this point, we can offer general scope and budget refinements. We never really start with a full idea. So this scope and this refinement will come with that design process. And then as you move into design development, we can further define that firm scope and a hard budget. Then you're going to move into your detailing of a plan and construction documentation. We're typically contracted at this point. We want you to let our standards help you detail, or should I say, avoid detailing the bridge. Our design build approach is geared to let us take that load on for you. Our dedicated design team will answer questions or requests for information. They'll respond to comments from the building department. And in addition, they will consult with our expert bridge engineering firm that we've partnered with for over 20 years. Now, the last stop on this list of consultations is the pre-construction consultation, and I can't express how important this is. We discuss things like access, build equipment, and craftsmanship because they are the cornerstones to a successful project for you. Our construction experts coordinate with your contractors and your on-site teams to create a smooth transition from paper to site mobilization. And then we get to the fun part, the build. Our team that shows up to your project is there to build the best bridge that they can. And I can assure you, that is the best bridge in this industry. You've all heard the term special teams in football, right? Well, we've maximized the strategy in our field crews. They are dedicated to maintaining a small footprint on your site, building out the bridge systematically and efficiently. In short, our crews have astonished our clients. Our clients have even said that it's like watching poetry in motion seeing them in action. So I know that's a lot of consultations. And I wanted to discuss one more thing before I move off this technical slide into the fun stuff. So what is the optimum time to bring YBC in on some of your standard project delivery scenarios? Well, for integrated project delivery or a fast track project, we know that this is ever growing in popularity, and we are involved more and more on these projects recently than we've ever been before. So to get us involved on that project, it's right there with the projects and programming phase. You want to get us in early, which is the goal. Then for traditional design bid build, we strongly recommend inclusion in the budgeting phase. This helps us make appropriate assertions regarding cost allowances or order of magnitudes or refinements to the scope so that these details land in your bid package. If they don't, it's unlikely we will participate in bidding. Finally, for a design build project where the concept of the crossings have been identified or established, it is best to get us in before the construction documents. This ensures that the bridges are detailed for maximum efficiency. And that's not only in terms of design, but also in the engineering, the construction, and the longevity of your bridge. It's much more than just shop drawings. We always recommend talking to us the minute a bridge or significant culvert is a possibility. We want you to show us a plan, even if it's just your client's survey or some early site analysis that you have on hand. We can really let our expertise shine if you get us in at the beginning. No matter when we are brought in, we are committed to providing the utmost due diligence and attention to detail to provide you the right bridge on time and on budget. All right, I mentioned the fun stuff. We're going to move to that. First and foremost, we collaborate with our clients. And a few benefits of collaborating with York Bridge is the customized character timber offers as a versatile and innovative material. And that it can be molded to fit your vision with stunning aesthetics, because our Decero design team always starts with your context so that the end result not only fits, it's just right. It also encourages kinetics. Our designs focus on multimodal accessibility, from handrails to guide rails to transitions to rolling paths. We work with AASHTO and LRFD and ADA standards every day, with the aim to give bridge users a smooth journey that engages them and their environments, promoting unique experiences. Ultimately, the involvement of character, aesthetics, and kinetics, as precursors is an experience is inevitable. However, experiencing a York Bridge is not only notable, it's memorable. There is something very special about timber. You can see it, you can hear it, and you can feel it. To round out our goals, we also like to boost the narrative of the designer. Our bridges have been used to continue the conversation throughout a site plan by enhancing branding, encouraging continuity, and to, in general, be more than just a bridge. The common thread here in terms of designing sites with YBC is that each of these benefits is integral to typical place-making strategies, specifically those revolving around nodes, landmarks, paths, vistas, or view sheds. This is great news for timber bridges because no matter the strategy, there's a bridge for that. Let's explore these strategies in action, starting with the Summit Bechtel Reserve. We collaborated with the landscape architect in a design build capacity on this park and recreation project. They had a strong plan and vision for a massive site to host the annual Boy Scouts of America Jamboree. Paths, nodes, and vistas made up miles, literal miles of experiences here. Our bridges connected people, vehicles, and ATVs to various nodes of outdoor activities. Each bridge required a very complex design and engineering, as well as a significant demand for the knowledge of specialized timber construction. They needed this built quickly in time for their first jamboree. Now, the plan is still expanding, and we still venture to West Virginia to add more bridges to the Scout adventures. Then there's Heritage Shores. We collaborated with the developer in an integrated project delivery capacity here as well. And this was a golf course community master plan project. The Desero design team focused on paths and vistas surrounding 2 nodes of activity, including the landmark market and the clubhouse with a waterfront promenade, integrated great retaining wall, vehicular bridge, and golf course bridges, all with a color palette and architectural details to complement the strong stylings of the character of the site. Another great project is River Lights. We collaborated with a developer here in another integrated project delivery capacity on this master plan community project that focused on destination-based amenities that embraced the community's location on the Cape Fear riverfront. All of the placemaking strategies are at play in this expanding master plan, and each of our bridges played their part. So we've installed a meandering boardwalk along the waterfront. We've connected nodes of activities like the restaurant and passive gathering spaces to the pier and the crab dock, as well as a pedestrian bridge on one of the multi-use trails over a channel. As the community grows, so do the York amenities. We look forward to continuing their story with more bridges. Speaking of multi-phase projects, the Ringling College of Art and Design, we collaborated with both the landscape architect and the general contractor in kind of a hybrid design, build, and IPD capacity in a phased campus project that mainly focused on path and node. Boardwalks curve through the campus landscape, connecting residence halls with smooth, well-lit open walking paths, seating areas, and 2 multi-use benches that required every ounce of collaboration between our design team and our carpenters be engaged so that we could execute flawlessly the landscape architect's conceptual vision. And that's the bottom right picture, is one of those 2 massive benches for the students. So how did we get to those great builds? Let's review a couple of our most recent builds: the Edison Chastain Vehicular Bridge in Georgia and Memorial Park's pedestrian bridges and amenities in Texas. I'll also summarize a few resources that we have that may not have been necessary for those projects, but could be very relevant to your next project. We'll utilize that familiar design process diagram at the bottom to highlight our project timeline. The Edison Chastain project started as a simple meeting between our esteemed bridge consultant, Titus Edwards, and a GC to introduce YBC. We were asked to ballpark an alternative to a potential concrete bridge for a new office building. The use was to serve as a connection between the parking lot and main entry for vehicular and pedestrian access over a protected waterway dividing the site. So our pre-design consultation revealed that we were looking at a double-lane vehicular bridge with a standard HS20 capacity and an attached pedestrian section designed either as a free span or a multiple span configuration. A multiple span approach is what you see illustrated here in the generic profile on the right, representing similar conditions to the site. We can provide various generic items in the pre-design phase that assist you in illustrating a bridge approach to the client or your team early on. In this particular case, we and the contractor liked the idea of the constructability and feasibility of using a multiple span here instead of a free span. Everyone, including the architect, liked our ballpark and the product. They even requested our assistance in, we'll say, pitching the concept to the necessary entities to move into the next phase. We provided multiple materials like our portfolio, a custom company profile, and of course, some specific project references via our web galleries. Now, the portfolio and gallery are fairly self-explanatory, but what is a company profile? This is a package that allows us, YBC, to introduce ourselves without being in the room. It's great for committees or boards as a takeaway about the bridge. For this project, we customized the package to provide information on the design, the construction, and the engineering concepts we utilized to provide this 75-year design life bridge, which met or meets, I should say, the industry standard set forth by AASHTO for bridges. Now, the company profile was enhanced with some schematic design work per our review of the site-specific information. We analyzed the crossing to determine the breakdown of the spanning configuration for the multiple span. So what exactly does that mean? So if you see on the left here, I've illustrated the center line. This is the waterway. And then there's a buffer zone, right? So in this particular case, the piling were deemed acceptable within the buffer zone, which is great news. So let's look at it in elevation. So our layout looked a little something like this. And here's that center line. And here's the buffer zone. You can see that our span is centered on the waterway center line, with piling still inside the buffer. And we were proposing a desirable 40-foot center free span with approaches. And I say desirable because 40 feet is a nice length that gives lots of room for the waterway, but it also doesn't start to drive cost. The longer a free span is, the higher the cost is going to go. So we were asked to provide a vision of what this bridge might look like. Enter the vision board featuring our exclusive protective systems. All of this was actually incorporated into the custom company profile and was successfully passed by different team members, quickly moving from pre-design to a cost submittal. Now, our cost submittals are detailed with information about all of the systems and services provided with our product, as well as the specific details of the scope and what is needed to perform the work. The architectural team was so inspired that they provided a new, beautiful rendering of the project, now featuring that York Bridge as the celebrated entry. In design development, we refine items like the color palette, as well as we produce a detailed set of shop drawings that are used in the final engineering of the bridge and for the on-site construction. So in seeing this process in detail, I have a question for you that we're going to put up in a poll. And actually, it's already there on the screen. What resources are most helpful to you in your design phases? Is it pictures, generic profiles, generic sections, detailed scope and cost submittals, previous project cut sheets? While you're answering that, I'm going to highlight this amazing time-lapse video that we have of the construction at Edison. Can you believe a 3-man team built a bridge in under 3 minutes? Yeah, no, neither do I. But they are very fast out there on the site. And we did complete this bridge in under 3 months. Now, after construction, we returned to perform our York Bridge services, complete with coatings. These protective systems help with the longevity of the bridge and also help reduce maintenance. Take a look at this wow factor of the finished product. Every detail is accounted for, creating a seamless integration to the environment, site plan, and vision. So I know that Julie's going to leave that poll open just a little bit longer, and then I'm going to circle back to it a little bit later. And instead, we're going to move a little bit further into our Memorial Park project. So again, this is a wonderful design that we were asked to price for a selected general contractor. We were familiar with the landscape architect's work because we partnered with them before. You know that Boy Scouts of Summit Bechtel Reserve project I mentioned before? It's them again. They provided a world-class design, complete with some challenging amenity boardwalks and spaces. So our pre-design consultations were after their design phase. So you can see that in this project, we were acting as a design builder, but we still needed to assess things that made up their scope via basic markup of a bid package. And I'll show you some enhancements of what's on the right there. This is what I mean by markups. It's just making sure that we have everything considered, length, width, height, so that we can give you appropriate information back. We provided examples of our work to illustrate comparable work with complex churning, and then they added some scope. They added some integrated benches and what we call the matchstick boardwalks in the dense native uplands of the park, to which we refined our scope and our cost. And always a guarantee, we're going to give you a cost submittal because it details our price and process. And we try to get this to you sooner than later to illustrate everything that goes into our work. For these complex and large projects, the design development is extensive, and we detail everything. When I say everything, check out these ripper details. We actually detail the ripper patterns and the screw layouts here because our bridges are in the good hands of our expert craftsmen, but our designers do their best to think of everything so that our field crew doesn't need to improvise. They can just stay focused on remaining on task and on schedule. I mean, building these bridges is an art form. As you can see in this sequence of construction stages, the boardwalks evolve from paper to a series of piling, deck boards laid out in an organized manner. Okay, it looks a little chaotic to the average Joe, but they know what they're doing. And then the edges carefully cut to smooth the curves that are later dressed with protective systems. In this case, a translucent oil-based series of coatings. Everything is meticulously thought out to provide the utmost quality that resulted in this beautiful environment. We love that our bridges offer an experience on this site with swift infinity edge style edges, comfortable gathering spaces, and even some more rustic woodsy exploration zones. So to recap, in the pre-design phase, we have a generic company profile that in some cases can be customized as relevant to the project demands. We can review drawings, aerials, or site plans and mark them up with scopes that are best suited for your site. As you can see in this example, the client started with a rectangular bridge that required an awkward curve in the driveway. We were able to refine the location and layout in the end. And we even recommended shortening the bridge by him just adding some grading. Occasionally, we have the ability to provide vision boards or color palettes to help sell the idea of timber to city councils or HOAs or similar. We more commonly will develop profiles capturing conceptual layouts. Our cost submittals are very informative and include imagery, process info, and design parameters. After contract, our clients can expect a wonderful and thorough set of shop drawings for approval before they're engineered. Our engineering consultation and remote permitting assistance are always included in the design process. Finally, the install. Here are some great before and after shots of other projects in the heart of residential, recreational, commercial, and even downtown urban environments. This is where you can find some of YBC's greatest legacy bridges. Now, while this is playing out, let's pull up those second poll results. All right, there they are. So everybody has a strong preference for Pictures. Well, good news, guys. We've got tons of pictures. We have tons of pictures on our website, and we're actually going to bring in, I'm going to close this down for a second so I can move to the next slide. But pictures followed by generic sections, then our cost submittals, great, previous project cut sheets, and generic profiles. All right, guys, thank you for that feedback. And I say thank you because we have, and we're unveiling, maybe, there we go. We have a York Bridge Design Center that we're just kicking off the ground. And this has things like CAD resources, generic span drawings, some section views, those project cut sheets, and some loading diagrams, because we know as bridge builders, loading diagrams are not easy to come by. So we invite you to come design with us and ask us for those pictures and work with us. So I hope that all of these illustrations have given you an idea of how we can be involved with your projects through providing these resources. And, if it's not on the Design Center, don't hesitate to call us. Just ask us. So thank you for joining me today, and I'll hand it back over to Julie.
Thank you so much, Rachel. We just really appreciate you sharing your experience with us today. I want to remind you that August 18th, we will be continuing our discussion about legacy timber bridge design. So residential, commercial, and mixed-use developers are always looking for ways to stand out. Try to attract more visitors and residents. So we'll show you how to do that with a timber bridge. And many of you listening in are not developers, but your clients are. So this will be valuable information for you as well. All of these great resources that we have are not only there to help you, but also help you to communicate to your clients. So I hope you'll be able to join us for this. The presentation today is not accredited. However, if you would like a certificate of completion to submit to your continuing education organization, you may email me at jledbetter@ybc.com. I will put the link in the chat in just a few minutes. A recording of today's presentation will be included in the follow-up email that you'll be receiving tomorrow. And thank you so much for attending. Now let's get to the Q&As. So I see a few on here. I think, let me go back and start with David Like. Is it Lick or Like? Not sure if I got your name wrong. It says, have you used helical piles in your designs?
All right, Dave. Well, actually, no, we do not use helical piles. We actually utilize a vibratory hammer method with timber piling, driven to specific depths. For pedestrian bridges, we drive to 10 feet deep. And for vehicular bridges, we drive to 16 feet deep. Now, if the soils require more or less, we let the refusal of the pile designate how deep it needs to be, and we verify that with the engineer of record.
Great. And Brian Brown has asked, which design softwares do you use to collaborate with the client?
So with our design softwares, we traditionally use AutoCAD because of, I'm going to call it the simplicity of our work. Moving into a Revit or BIM model is not necessarily the best move for bridges. But we can provide AutoCAD files, and we also have PDFs and things like that that we do share.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I want to remind our attendees, if you do have a question, you are welcome to raise your hand at this point or put it in the chat. I do have a couple more questions to get through. So if you're thinking of something right now, if you could go ahead and either raise your hand or put it in the chat. So Dean Kuntz has asked two questions. The first one is, do you provide structural drawings stamped by the structural engineer for the state in which the project is located? Because it's usually needed to obtain building permits.
Yes, we do. So as I mentioned before, we have a consulting engineering firm, and they have worked on every bridge project or near every bridge project that we've put out for the last 20 years. So they are experts in bridge engineering, and they do sign off on every single one of our projects. And that is what we submit to the client with our engineered package. We also provide a post project handoff that is also signed and sealed so that we can close the book with your permitting agency once the bridge is in place, exhibiting the design conformance to the engineer's standards. So although they are not in-house, we are very familiar with them and they are very familiar with our work. And that is always included in our price estimates.
And Dean also asked, what is YBC's experience with providing background documentation for LEED certification or living building challenge? I'm assuming that the source of wood would be a big sustainability item for documentation purposes.
So we have worked, and I will say that I have not personally worked on a LEED project. However, I'm very familiar with the process. And we have worked to provide certificates from forestry and things of that nature whenever we've worked on sensitive projects, environmentally sensitive projects. And we are able to provide things like the square footages of impacts and the sources of our materials. And as long as we know LEED is a factor in a project beforehand, we can look to see at what opportunities we can offer from the bridge's standpoint to fulfill those requirements and see if it's worthwhile proceeding with that.
Great. These are all great questions, everybody. Colin McCann asks, what is the smallest size bridge project you would get involved with?
So traditionally, our projects are on the larger scale. But we have designed as short as, a 20-foot short span bridge. It really depends on if the timing is right, if the budget is right, and if that is really what the client wants to invest in. And I would hesitate to say no scale or no scope is too small for us to look it over. We will tell you very quickly whether or not it is worthwhile you pursue a bridge opportunity with us, or if it would be better suited for you to go with a local contractor. So I can't give you an exact dimension because we have designed smaller bridges because the client wanted them.
I think this is all of the questions. If I'm missing anyone, if you could raise your hand or stick it in the chat and say that I'm missing you, and I'll give you a couple more seconds. If that's everyone, then I want to thank everyone for being here. And thank you so much again, Rachel, for joining us.
My pleasure.
Yes, thank you. And I wish everyone to have a great afternoon. Bye now.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.